Greetings dear customers, dear subscribers, this is Ison Company speaking. In this video, I will tell you about all Ison surveillance cameras. Start from affordable to pricey, explain everything using simple terms. Let's get started. Before that, let me explain what the Ison brand is in case you haven't heard of it. The Ison brand represents premium level surveillance. Here everything is focused first of all on maximum quality, on maximum level of detail, so that you can clearly see a person's face, recognize a car's license plate. Secondly, it's about technology. When we talk about top of the line products, it always includes all the latest technologies available in surveillance systems today. This is smart analytics, this is person tracking, this is remote control with a phone, this is zooming, this is WDR, POI, 3DNR, basically all the most modern technologies. The third point is durability, reliability. Here there is a 3-year warranty on all equipment. Almost all of these cameras are manufactured using sensors made by Sony. These sensors are of the highest level, of the highest quality. So the emphasis in this brand is placed to ensure that you obtain the maximum quality and experience seamless operation, so that you install these cameras once and they work for years without causing you any problems. These are the key points about Ison surveillance cameras. Here on our table, we currently have 20 surveillance cameras. In total, the Ison brand produces 72 different models of surveillance cameras. I'll inform you about the ones that didn't fit. There are roughly 30 video recorder options as well. All options for any task, and a whole bunch of components, cables, connectors, and so on. So let's get started. The simplest camera here, the most budget-friendly one. This is the Ison HD50 SCD model. Actually, this makes it the simplest and most budget-friendly. Here we have 2 megapixels, and there are also versions with 4 and 5 megapixels. Externally, everything looks exactly the same, just different internals. Here we have a plastic casing. All other outdoor options here are made of metal. Nevertheless, this is good plastic. It can be placed outdoors. Withstands temperatures down to -60 degrees, waterproof with IP66 rating, not afraid of snow or rain. The most budget-friendly aspect is definitely the sensor. What's inside accounts for around 80% of the total camera cost. Here it is the simplest, indicating a focus on providing the buyer with the lowest price available in this location. This camera is good. It is superior to 80% of all the products items sold on AliExpress. You can check the website for recording examples. There are always samples for you to visually assess camera quality. Next is the Ison HD20 SCD camera, already featuring a Sony sensor. The camera has a resolution of 2 megapixels, and in terms of cost, it is equivalent to a 5 megapixel FCD. And frequently individuals inquire what is the better option to choose, a 2 megapixel camera with a Sony sensor or a camera with a higher resolution but on a less expensive sensor. This 2 megapixel camera will perform better at night than a 5 megapixel camera on a budget Omnivision sensor, and this difference will be quite noticeable. During the day, the picture will be slightly better with a 5 megapixel sensor. I always recommend choosing a Sony sensor with lower resolution or taking fewer cameras. For instance, you want to buy a 4-camera system and can't decide between a 5MP camera with a budget Omnivision sensor or a 2MP one, but with a Sony sensor. I always say it's better to take fewer cameras. For us, for example, 2, but with Sony sensors. In the future, you can always purchase more cameras. However, if you opt for a budget-friendly sensor and realize the quality is unsatisfactory, lacking detail with indistinguishable faces, then you will be unable to take any action to address the issue. You don't have to throw away the whole system and buy a new one. We are often asked if this difference is very noticeable. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 MP. The answer here is simple. For example, if we compare a 4MP camera to a 5MP one, the difference in quality and detail is 20%. So 1 megapixel is 1 million pixels, 1 million points on the screen. Therefore, in 5 megapixel cameras, there are 1 million more points. This difference amounts to 20%. When comparing 2 and 4 megapixel cameras, 4 megapixel cameras perform twice as well as 2 megapixel cameras. The same applies when comparing 4 and 8 megapixel cameras. 8 megapixel cameras perform twice as well as 4 megapixel cameras. In other words, the detailing is twice as good. The distance from which you can, for example, read a car's license plate is twice as far. Following that, we possess the 5 megapixel Ison HD50 SRD cameras in our inventory. These are the most popular surveillance cameras as of the present time at this very moment. Additionally, Ison Company has nearly 2,000 ready-made surveillance system options, which are assembled from these cameras. The cameras we looked at, the 50 FCD, are from the Ison Tour series. In other words, these are complete sets, ready kits that include all needed for these cameras to work. Includes video recorder, power supplies, cables with connectors, and more. Everything for easy setup. Just take it out of the box, plug it in, and it will work. The 20 CD cameras are from the Ison Pro S series, while the ready-made sets with Ison HD50 SRD cameras are the Ison Greco Pro kits. Also, the 4MP Ison Greco model, while Greco Pro is a 5MP model. Greco Pro is this 5MP model. These are actually the most popular cameras because they are the golden mean in a way. They are not expensive, yet they have 5 megapixels, they are 2K, they have a Sony sensor, they have eCalc for the latest generation backlight, they support up to 30 meters of night shooting. The essential technologies DW, DR, 3DNR are on board. So these cameras can be called a popular choice. There are also the exact same cameras but in a dome design. So all the same features. The HD50 SSL model. These are also 4.5 megapixel cameras just like the 50 SRD but in a dome design. These cameras are usually placed indoors. However, this model is vandal proof with an IP66 rating. If you want, it can also be installed outdoors. It can withstand any rain or snow. There is another version of these same Ison HD80 SSL mic cameras, which is the same cameras with a built-in microphone. It looks exactly the same externally, but inside there is already a microphone. While the 50 SSL versions come in modifications of 4 and 5 megapixels, the 80 SSL MiC versions come in modifications of 8 megapixels. So there are 2, 4, 5 and 8 megapixels options available. So externally, I reiterate, the camera appears completely identical. The distinction is solely in the internal components. Next, we have the same cameras as the previous 50 SRD, but now with zooming capability, with a 4x mechanical zoom. And I want to tell you more about the zoom using the example of the most popular surveillance cameras with zoom in the HD segment. This is the 50 SAF BQ model. Zoom is electronic. In Baku, zoom is electronic. Empty zoom in Baku. If in the previous CU model there was a 4-fold mechanical zoom, here it is a 5-fold electronic zoom. Well, firstly, it's bigger here so you can see faces and car license plates further away. And secondly, the main downside of mechanical zooms is that to control them, you need to climb onto the camera and accordingly use a hex key to turn 2 bolts from below. This is in reference to zooming and focusing, which can be quite inconvenient at times. So this is convenient only when you need to do it once during installation. For example, zoom in on a gate or along a fence. Here is an electronic zoom that can be remotely controlled from a tablet or computer or through a video recorder. And you can do this at any time. For example, when you realize that some issue is happening on your property, you need to zoom in. People frequently inquire, how do I determine if I require zoom at all or not? The answer here is fairly straightforward. It all depends on the size of your property. If you have a small room or a small area and the required distance on your property is between 5 and 7 meters. Don't want to see faces or car license plates ahead, no such task. For instance, there's a fence in front of you. Then you don't need zoom. Just good 2K or 4K cameras with 5 or 8 megapixels resolution respectively, and a good sensor will be enough to cover such an area. If you need to go further, then you'll need a surveillance camera with zoom, which cost around 30% more compared to regular cameras. Additionally, there is always more powerful night illumination here. If we talk, for example, about the HD50 SRD cameras, the night shooting range there is up to 30 meters, while here it goes up to 60 meters. A +5x zoom allows the camera to see 5 times farther compared to a regular surveillance camera. Regarding the Ison HD50 sub-BQ cameras, there are also several modifications available. The youngest version is 4 megapixels, followed by the 5 megapixel version, and the oldest version is 8 megapixels. At 8MP, these are the ready-made Ison Grotex kits, also among the most popular. It's like the Rolls-Royce in the world of surveillance. Alongside NBA cameras, I will also tell you about them, Ison Alpha Pro X. These cameras here are a bit more expensive, but they offer higher FPS, a greater number of frames per second, meaning the picture is smooth, just like the one you capture on your iPhone in the HD segment, for example. Here the frame rate is always a bit lower. I will talk separately about IP cameras. I will also explain the difference between HD and IP separately. And let me tell you about another HD camera that is also available. It's a PTZ camera. These are already large surveillance cameras. This camera has a 20 times zoom capability. It is rotatable, left, right, up, down. Can be controlled from a phone, tablet or computer. The model is called Ison HD20S PTZ PT5. Now let's smoothly transition to IP cameras. So what sets IP surveillance apart from HD? To start, you can visually compare the cameras themselves to observe the differences between them. Here we have an HD camera, and here we see that the connector is round. It's called BNC, and this is an IP camera. Here's a square connector. It's called RG45. You won't find any more external differences on the cameras. IP cameras are more expensive, around 30–40%, but IP cameras always have better detail. There are always more FPS, meaning frames per second. There is better clarity of the pixels themselves, but it's not definitive which one is better to choose. IP surveillance, yes, it's fancier, higher quality, but more expensive. At present, individuals are purchasing in equal proportions. Half of them are purchasing HD. The HD standard also cannot be called inferior. There are good sensors and processors there as well. Currently, it has an 8 megapixel resolution. The remaining half chooses IP. Therefore, it is predominantly a matter of budget. Let's start with IP cameras, specifically the Smart 05 GF model. This is an indoor wireless pan-tilt surveillance camera with two-way audio. Here's a built-in microphone, built-in speaker. I'll talk about Wi-Fi cameras and Wi-Fi features a little later. One of the most popular surveillance cameras when it comes to home video monitoring or as an office assistant. So it is simple to set up this type of camera. Position it in any location with Wi-Fi coverage and configure remote viewing on your smartphone device. With the smartphone, you can control it, rotate it, and listen to what's happening near the camera. Also, the built-in speaker is of very high quality. Here you have the sensor, mic, and speaker. We reviewed this camera on our channel. You can view it separately. Just like with all surveillance cameras, our channel showcases detailed reviews where we extensively explain all the intriguing features and characteristics specifically tailored for each individual model. Next, we have the Ison IP30 SR cameras. These cameras are available in two versions with 2 and 3 megapixels. Cameras with Sony sensor, cameras with full HD resolution at 2 megapixels and 2K at 3 megapixels. The most advanced sensors, processor, and QLED lighting are utilized in this location. Continuing this lineup are the Ison IP50 SR cameras. They can also be called the most popular in the IP category. So it is exactly the same golden mean as the Ison HD50 SRD model without any differences or variations. Some of the most popular systems are the ready-made Ison Alpha surveillance systems. These are the Ison Sphere ready-made systems if we are talking about the 3 megapixel options. Cameras equipped with all the latest technologies on board, including PoE, WDR, and 3DNR. The sole significant elements absent in this case are zoom and 8 megapixel resolution. With that, we're moving to the next lineup. The upcoming lineup includes cameras that are twice as large, and they come with zoom already built in. This is the CW model. Here the night vision is twice as powerful. It comes with a 5 times electronic zoom. And everything else remains the same. 5 megapixels, all the latest technologies. There is also the Ison IP 505 PoE modification. There is a sensor that is slightly less complex than SmartSense, but it is also a sensor of the same level. Similar to Sony, but with a slightly lower budget. The body there is this one, meaning it's slightly smaller, while still having the same 5-fold digital zoom on board. The top cameras are already naturally the MBA body and the pre-assembled Ison Alpha Pro X surveillance systems for enhanced security. Here you will find all the best, the highest frames per second. The highest resolution is here, 8 million pixels, 5 times digital zoom. Everything here is the very best. I mean, this is the top model among all the cameras that are presented here. I would like to specifically talk about surveillance cameras with color night vision. The model is called GH500SP. As is evident from the name, it possesses color night vision capability. All other surveillance cameras exhibit color images in daylight hours. At night, a black and white traditional image for IR radiation. Here are built-in IR LED lights at 4000 kelvins. And thanks to this, the camera displays color images at night. Also, all models I told you about in the IP standard have counterparts in dome design. For instance, in this case, we have the LCA 500 model. It is a 5 megapixel camera similar to the CW, but in this situation it comes with a built-in microphone. Here it's all the same, just a dome-shaped round design. It can also be installed outside, not necessarily only inside the premises. So essentially they differ mainly in design. The Kaizen IP50 SR model also comes with built-in microphones. There is also an 8 megapixel analog model, completely 50 SR. It's already moving towards 8 megapixels. The product is named 80QR. They have an identical external appearance, but their resolutions differ. It also includes a built-in mic. Here's the 80 SSL Pro model. It's 8MP. It's an 8MP 18MP. The model in a dome design also comes with a built-in microphone, still utilizing a Sony sensor. Let's delve a bit deeper into Wi-Fi cameras. Many individuals prefer Wi-Fi, which are wireless surveillance cameras, indicating that there are no wires between the camera and the video recorder. However, the camera requires power at the installation location. Therefore, you will need either a power outlet or you will have to run a wire of 220 volts to the camera itself. So it's important to keep in mind that a wireless camera is not truly wireless after all. By definition, it requires power. The Ison brand also offers cameras with 2, 3, 4, 5 megapixels in dome and cylindrical designs. On our channel, we have a review of the Ison Air Pro Max surveillance systems. We discuss a ready-made set of these cameras and a specialized video recorder. We provide detailed information on the topic of Wi-Fi transmission range. Be sure to watch this video in full if you are planning to purchase wireless surveillance systems for yourself. Also on our channel, there is a review of industrial wireless surveillance systems by AISN, which operate based on special bridges with a Wi-Fi transmission range of up to 1.5 kilometers. For specialized tasks for your Wi-Fi camera to work at a distance of 1.5 kilometers, there should be no obstacles. In our tests, we demonstrate how they work in the conditions of a large quarry. And of course, the most expensive cameras are pan-tilt surveillance cameras. They also have many at the Ison brand. I told you about the HD standard. In the IP standard, there is a model like this, 50 SPTD 4X. There are also similar models with a 20x zoom and models with a 36x zoom. However, it is important to mention that the cameras themselves are already 2-3 times larger in size when compared to a typical camera in the same category. And they have quite challenging project tasks. For example, a camera with a 36x zoom can observe a person from 300 meters away. In a regular private house or small shop, such distances are unnecessary and not required in these settings. That is the reason why they are purchased for extensive plots of land, large territories. These are factories, enterprises, as well as certain security complexes. In general, everywhere where there are large distances and the objective is to guarantee security over extensive areas. If you have any queries about these cameras, feel free to ask our managers or write them in the comments below this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay updated on new videos and stay connected.